Hello, quilting friends. I have a special guest to introduce you to today. One of the worst things about the COVID lockdowns of 2020 has been our separation from family and friends. So luckily we have Zoom calls that we use to keep those connections. And I reached out recently to an online quilting group that I'm a part of to ask if I could interview some of these wonderful people about their quilting journey. And I'm going to bring you that first interview today. If this is your first time joining me, my name is Andy, and this is True Blue Quilts, a place to enjoy, experiment, and excel as we quilt. So let's hear from Marilee. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today for our Friends series so that we can get to know the other quilters. So tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, and how you got started quilting.
Okay, so my name's Marilee Edel. I live in Arizona with the rest of everyone that's going to be in the neighborhood, I assume. And I started quilting literally by accident. My grandmother was the seamstress in the little town of Graham, Texas, where my dad kind of sort of did a lot of his growing up, and they lived there, as far as I know, almost all their lives. And so I watched her sewing, quilting, dressmaking for my entire childhood. And I vividly remember her black Singer sewing machine and an ugly green desk, but she had the most beautiful diamond ring, and it just glittered. I mean, it was so beautiful in the light of that sewing machine. And I was so fascinated with that. I would just watch her. I didn't care what she was making. I just wanted to see that diamond sparkle. Then I came up with this bright idea when one of my kids was born several years ago.
Just a few.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about when.
No, it's probably -2.
Thank you. Well done. So when one of my kids was born, I don't know if I heard it somewhere, or I'm sure I didn't invent the idea, but I came up with that I was going to keep a tub of her clothes, you know, the first thing she came home in, little party outfits and so forth. And somehow I was able to do that for nearly 30 years and not lose all of this stuff. So when she was about to have her first child, well, her only child now, but her first child, I realized I needed to make those clothes into a quilt. That was the reason I had kept them all these years. So I figured out, well, this is what I need to do, and here's all the clothing. And, you know, I then started going on Facebook groups, calling people, calling sewing shops and so forth. And everyone said, oh, that's not a thing. People don't do that. You have to make the top and then we'll long arm or quilt it for you. And I was like, but I am kind of banned from scissors and the barbecue grill because I hurt myself. So I did not know what a rolling cutter was. I didn't know what a cutting mat was for. I had no idea what stabilizer was. So I finally decided I know how to do this. I have a bunch of friends at work who belong to a very big church in the area, and I bet there's some little lady there who will do this for me. So I went to my friend and I'm like, can you ask your church ladies if they'll make this quilt? And friend says, oh, I know just the lady. So I connect up with this wonderful woman, and she says, oh, bring your stuff. And I come over with my bucket full of my daughter's clothes. And I said, you know, here. And she says, you can come anytime. You can use all of my supplies. This is how you use the cutter. And what size do you want the squares to be? And so forth. And I'm like, I thought I was handing this to you. I'm going to give you a bunch of money. And she said, oh, well, I'm going to show you how to do it. You can do it. And I'm like, so she shows me how to use the, you know, rolling cutter and mat. And I cut my finger right there. First time I ever touched one. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm bleeding on your floor. So that was my first experience of trying anything. I cut one of the pieces into a square right then, and it eventually, 3 sewing machines later, did turn into a quilt. Thankfully, I had enough presence of mind to plan a little before the shower. I think I gave myself 4 months. And I cut out every single piece. I did not know what stabilizer was. I had everything from cotton, denim, rayon, t-shirts, and it is the most wonky, crooked, crazy thing. I have pictures. So here, okay, this is a version. I kept adding so much stuff to this that it's bigger than a queen.
Oh no. Go big or go home.
So this is folded 4 times the way she's got it right there. You can't see the middle of it. That's how big this silly thing is over the top of that. But so I just made simple little 6-inch squares. They ended up being 4.5 or 5, I don't know. So that's kind of the idea that was behind it. A lot of the things in there are actual clothes of hers, pieces of clothing. But then I also bought fabrics, like you can see the Welsh flag there. My mother from Wales. And so I, incorporated things that sort of fit all of the family members and so on to make it all make kind of sense.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Here's the fun of this thing. Let me just show you where this gets fun. Where this gets fun is that it is a giant hot mess. So I think, so these are white, which makes that kind of difficult, but you can see that on the right side, I'm about 1/2 to 2/3 of an inch lower than the left side of this piece of, that's probably within government error, I don't know, but it's literally a hot mess. Yeah,
but it's made with love, and that's what
really counts. And the best part about it, which is when I asked my daughter, so look at this binding. This is hilarious.
Oh yeah, decorative stitches. Look at that.
Because I didn't know how. I was like, I'm not going to line this up. How's this going to work? Anyway, the was made, handmade for you by Grandma.
Yep.
Kind of impressed with that.
Cute.
But the best part about it was that it was a gift to be given to her at her baby shower. It was done. It's ugly, but it was done. And both of my parents had passed away within the year before my daughter's wedding. And then, before her, and then subsequently the baby. Right. And I had some of their clothing. And she opened her piles and piles of ridiculous gifts that everybody brings. And I was like, wait, where's mine? Pretending. And so I brought it out, and I literally told a girlfriend just beforehand, I was like, I know what's going to happen. And I had it folded in the box so that what she saw was my dad's shirt, and she literally picked it up and smelled it.
Oh,
that is a memory that I don't even care what that quilt looks like. That was the best thing ever, that she picked it up and she just held it and smelled it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's the best part about quilting, is making gifts like that. So
it is. Yeah.
Heard all about your first project. What are you working on now? What's your current quilt project?
This is a Melanie Ham class that I took, and it's just jelly roll.
Oh, wow.
And cut into these. So can you see any of the points here? So these are 2 strips of jelly roll put together and then cut into the half square triangle, and then.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's a good one.
Then so this is literally 1 jelly roll and some backing fabric, and this one I am keeping for myself, which I'm impressed with the points on this one and the square. My lack of skill. Literally been doing this for 1.5 years, maybe not 18 months, maybe.
Okay, now I am really impressed. I thought you had been quilting much longer than that.
I've been around sewing my whole life, but I did not start this crazy project with the 3 sewing machines until July of 1 year ago. So literally 18
good.
months.
Yeah, see how fast that addiction takes hold?
Oh yeah, that's a lot of money. I always wondered why quilts were expensive. Now I know. Yeah. But anyway, so this one I'm going to keep primarily because it was just one of the first things. It's got some patriotic stuff in it, which is my jam. And then I found this backing fabric that has the Constitution on it.
Nice.
This quilt will be mine. So that one I'll keep.
My mom quilts, and I only have one brother, so everybody's got 16 quilts already. So you have to find a charity to give things away.
It's funny because I have thought that at what point are people going to be sick of me doing this and I'm still going to enjoy like putting stuff together?
Yeah.
For what purpose?
Yeah. So the whole world will be covered in quilts.
Right.
So. Would probably solve a lot of problems, but
wouldn't it?
If, and I know this could be a subject some people don't want to get into, but how big is your stash? Do you collect fabric and just keep it because it's pretty?
Okay, well, I have 2 answers. I actually have 3 answers. The first answer is my husband going to see this? Yeah. The second answer is he gave me kind of a cabinet in the garage, I guess, that he doesn't look in, so he doesn't quite realize. I have a crazy fascination with these tiny little 70s, 80s, 40s, 50s kind of little flowers on fabrics. And when I see them, it's so hard not to buy them. But then I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
But then it's a collection and you never have to sew with it because it's collectible.
That's a really, really interesting point. Yes.
Since we're diving into all the controversies, where do you stand on pre-washing your fabric? Is that a must? Is that a sometimes? Is that a optional?
Well, the first person or video that I watched that subject said you have to. And so I tried that once. But the first person whose video I watched failed to mention is that yardage is what you pre-wash, not rolls.
And jelly rolls and charm
jelly rolls and little squares. Yeah, charm pack kind of things. And so I essentially lost a jelly roll. Luckily, it was a small one because I pre-washed it. From that moment forward, hell no, I'm not pre-washing anything.
Life's too short. And see, I was the opposite because I started quilting when my mom opened a fabric store. And so I'm sitting in the store all Saturday afternoon looking at all this gorgeous fabric, and there's no customers around. Mom says, hey, I need a sample out of this. So I just start cutting and sewing. So you just pull it off the shelf and start sewing. What's this about pre-wash? I don't care.
If no other tool ever came my way in my whole life, those Shout color catchers, I'm just saying, they should be paying you for us saying this. They're the best thing ever. Yeah. I've never had anything bleed since then.
Well, no, I haven't had finished quilts bleed. I've gone through, a stack of color catchers with a dark quilt. And yes, I sew with a patriotic color scheme a lot of times, and I'm very leery about those reds and whites together. So definitely want the reds, and any dark batiks I get nervous about too. So how would you describe your quilting style?
Constructive. I think I'm a constructivist. I am, okay, I actually do have an answer to this. It just popped in my head. So you've met some of the people that I generally hang with and so forth, and are much more cutesy than I am. And so I have to have a purpose for anything that I'm making. It has to have the place that it's going to go. Like I would never, in my entire life, I would never make a decorative wall hanging. Like just something to put on the wall would not happen because I can't, I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around why you would do that. I mean, when I walk into someone else's house, I'm like, oh, that's so lovely. And I think that they're wonderful, but I could not make myself do that.
It's art you can use that doesn't just have to sit on the wall.
It has to have a purpose.
There you go.
The fact that what I like about it most is the math.
Yeah. Which always makes me roll my eyes a little bit, just not outwardly. I try to maintain the poker face, but all these quilters that say they can't do math. And I'm thinking,
you absolutely can.
Yeah, you're using formulas to calculate everything and adjust sizes, and it's
yeah.
and nowadays
I have done this a few times where I fought with a pattern writer in my head thinking, why do I need all that extra fabric?
Yeah.
I don't really need that. I do not need 2 cuts of 52 inches to come up with a back on a 60-inch thing. It doesn't add up. There's no way to calculate that.
Yeah, and from the, I will come to the defense of my fellow pattern writers that it's better to err on the side of caution and give people a little extra than to assume somebody's going to cut the exact right size that they need. So it is.
To be fair, I have repurchased a back.
Do you have any quilting celebrity crushes? Is there anybody out there in the quilt world that you are just enamored with?
I like that question. Okay, no disrespect to my favorite human, my husband, or my actual crush, Clint Eastwood. No disrespect to either of them. The very first, sort of famous person that I came upon was Jenny Doan, which, everybody's going to say that name. But what I really like about her kind of, her whole thing is her story. The beginning and how she came to be involved, and her story compels me to look at some of her things, but many of them are very frou-frou.
Yeah.
I don't have a purpose. So
Jenny needs to work on that.
What was that?
Jenny needs to work on that. Get some more purpose in her.
Yeah, you need to give me a purpose. I really like Melanie Ham. I think she's a bright young gal. She's I mean, the way that she explains things is both simple and complex. So what I mean by that is, oftentimes if you tell me, well, you're just going to put this right here and then you're going to cut like this and you're going to turn this other thing, I'll get lost. Whereas if you say square this, I get that. And she'll do both. And so I appreciate that about her, that she includes, good instruction as well as the end goal, like the picture, what it is that you're attempting to do. So I totally appreciate that about her.
What is your quilt shopping strategy? What area of the store do you visit first? Go into
the strategy is bring a friend.
Make her spend more money than you.
Exactly. The strategy is always bring a friend. I perseverate. I get stuck. If I'm shopping with a purpose, like I'm going to do this thing and I can't make the thing match up or the way that I want it to, I get stuck. And so I need somebody with me to help me figure out, like, how do I get it unstuck? There is nothing wrong with buying a pre-owned machine from your local dealer. And, they obviously aren't going to just bring it in and send it right back out to you. They're going to service them and so forth. But I absolutely love this used straight stitch, super powerful thing that just, it never argues with me.
Yeah.
Like, I had one that I bought that was brand new off the shelf, and it would not go through those 3 folds to do the, the little in a mask. And I'm like, no, you go back.
Right. That is good advice. Having a shop you feel comfortable in to just pop in and get the stuff you need is. And
it does. It feels good. They all, in the last 2 years, I've never seen anybody who's new in any of these shops. It's all the same people, because they know when you come in, they kind of know your style. They know that you're going to perseverate on buying backing. That's all good stuff. I definitely think that's probably the best thing is to have those relationships with someone.
That is the best part about quilting, is making the new friends in,
Yes, I would agree. Absolutely. I've met some fabulous people in this little community.
Yeah, well, I've had a wonderful time hanging out with you. So thank you so much.
I don't even think I said anything really terrible that, is frightening. I don't think I'll scare anyone.
Marilee wasn't scary at all. If you enjoyed our quilt chat, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. If you are a beginner and looking for some simple patterns to get started, I've linked those in the video you see on your screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.